Wow. 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 I think a lot of people are shocked. You're there, on the fence divided about this right now. Alabama, FSU, who's going to get in at number 4? And the committee picked the better team, not the better resume, not the undefeated Power 5 team, the better football team with the eye test. And for Florida State, you just feel for them. What's up, everyone? Welcome in. It is Snaps Live post playoff committee selection, the top 4 teams that will be moving on to the college football playoffs. Make sure you like, subscribe, get in the chat, ask your questions. I'll be rotating through those here over the next 15 to 20 minutes as we break down what we just learned from the committee just a few moments ago. We'll start at the top before we get to the number 3 and 4 spot. 1, Michigan. 2, Washington. Not surprised there at all. Like, could you have made a case for Washington to be the number 1 team? Yeah, you could have. Like, you beat Oregon. It was a competitive Pac-12 this year. Michigan's win versus Ohio State, obviously the win versus Penn State, and winning the conference and looking to most people out there like the best team in America. I like them at 1. They deserve to be 1. And that's an epic matchup. Like, I don't know, Michigan may have said, hey, if we knew Alabama was going to be number 4 team, maybe we would have actually preferred to be number 2 to be able to take on Texas instead of the Crimson Tide. That's going to be an awesome, awesome football game. But Michigan 1, right decision. Washington 2, another right decision. 13-0, competitive Pac-12 this season, and you knocked off Oregon twice. You won some close games. I know they may not have been as sexy down the stretch, but this is a good team. Defensively, they've been able to win games at time this year. Obviously, elite on the offensive side of the football. You got some of the best playmakers, maybe the best receiver in college football. You have a Heisman candidate at the quarterback position. 1, 2 were easy. 100% easy, T-Bob, as T-Bob joins us from his way to Disney World right now. What's up, buddy?
Absolute garbage. Why play the games?
I'm with you.
Football actually matter. Why do we play the games? Just put Alabama in the end. They've been doing this. I mean,
yeah,
it's insane. Florida State should be beside themselves with anger.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely cheated. They won a conference championship with their third. They won a conference championship by double digits with their 3rd string quarterback with an elite defensive performance. You cannot tell me what you saw out of Michigan offensively last night that Florida State wouldn't have had a chance. And all of these put the best teams in. Like we've been continuously saying. What people are saying is put the best teams in my opinion. And you cannot tell me who the best teams are. You same people who told me Michigan would smash TCU, told me Oregon would beat Washington in the rematch, told me Alabama was going to smash Auburn 2 weeks ago. And yet here Nick Saban goes, Alabama getting the benefit of the doubt. It's not, you know what, actually, look, it's not even about Alabama and Nick Saban or the SEC, although to be clear, right, like I, from a pure fan perspective, desperately wanted to drink sad Alabama and Georgia tears. And I was right on the edge of having my dream accomplished. But to me, where I'd be pissed, if I'm Florida State, what did I do? I went 13-0. I played LSU out of conference to open the season. I beat them. I played Florida out of conference. I beat them. I won my conference championship by double digits on my 3rd string quarterback when I had to have it. Everything on. I did everything, and yet you put in Alabama. Why? Because they. So
I have this argument, T. But let me get this argument for you too here. You if you're going to make the decision, and I posted this just before the committee made their selection, maybe 15 minutes before. If you're going to go with, we are going to base our selection on the 4 best teams in America. Like, that's what we're going to do. Like, that's the decision you just made. Then why is Georgia not in it? Because if you're going to go straight,
because Georgia's not. Miss me with that crap. Why would Georgia be? Who's Georgia?
But who would be favored? Let me ask you this: who would be favored, T? Who would be favored in a game on a neutral site between Washington and Georgia?
No, okay, I get your logic. I see where
I'm
your
just
logic
asking
is.
that.
You're saying
if you're going to keep Washington in, then you need to keep Florida State in. Because Washington would not be favored over any team on that 4.
True. If we're using Vegas as a metric, yes, there's an inconsistency between Washington getting in and Florida State getting left out. Yes. I would agree to that.
My problem is right now, like and this has been the committee this entire time. The inconsistency of, are we doing strength of schedule? Are we doing the eye test? And they confused us from the very beginning. Michigan was a top 4 team from the very start, yet they hadn't played anyone yet. So you were ranking them ahead of, at times, Washington and I believe even Oregon, because they look good to you. But then you put Ohio State at 1 because of the resume, because of who they had been at that point in the season. So that is where this committee has really struggled this year. Where are we putting teams? What is most important to us? What we see on the football field, or actually winning games and being undefeated or winning your conference? So yeah, if I'm Florida State right now, if they make it work, I did everything. And you think of what Florida State can be in the next month. Yeah, you didn't look great last night. That was with your third string quarterback, who is a true freshman, making his first start in an ACC championship, which it was drizzling for most of the game, a little bit rainy. And your defense looked elite. You shut down Louisville, and your offense found a way to make enough plays to win. You can't tell me when you get your backup quarterback back and you give him essentially a preseason camp to get ready for a playoff game, the offense wouldn't be at least a little bit better. Better than they were versus Florida, better than they were versus Louisville, and we know what they can do on the defense side of the football. So I would be fuming right now if I'm the ACC, who had a better head-to-head record against the SEC this year, and I have an undefeated team.
That is the. Can y'all hear me? I'm backstage. No, that is the thing. Is that, I mean, yeah, the SEC beat the SEC. The SEC was kind of mid this year. Ole Miss and Mizzou won 10 games. A bunch of teams are down. Georgia was from
Hey, T, we're losing here for a second. I think T's on his way to Disney World right now, so the connection's a little spotty on and off. T, you drive safe. Tell the family say hello, and enjoy Mickey. Enjoy Mickey. All right, I want to get to some of the chats in here. Who said it? Someone said, thank goodness next year's a 12-team playoff. I get that, but like, you got to admit, it is kind of fun that all this commotion over who the Final Four teams are going to be kind of does bring a little bit of juice and a little fire to the belly, but it will be easier next year, 100%. And once again, like, I just want to reiterate, like, the committee has just driven me crazy because of that inconsistency. Strength of resume versus eye tests. Winning football games versus just looking good. And it doesn't make sense to me that you would keep Washington in, who would be an underdog to Michigan, to Texas, to Alabama, to Georgia. Hell, they may be underdog to Ohio State. Ohio State may be favored versus Washington. But they're number 2, and FSU, 13-0, won the ACC, is out. I don't get it. Very, 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 very frustrated. Hatcher in the chat, Aaron, this is horse crap. The ACC, I know we've kind of dogged them at times for being a weak conference, but they've been a little bit better at times this year, and definitely deserving of putting a team in the college football playoff, especially a 13-0 college football team. All right, so that's the matchups, or that's the games. You got number 1 Michigan, 2 Washington, 3 Texas, which I love Texas at 3. I do. I do want to get to that real quick. I think Texas is a damn good football team, and to be honest, in this situation right now, I think Texas wins the national championship. I think Texas is the most complete team on both sides of the football. You look at. Let's just look at all 4 teams right now. Michigan, who I thought for the majority of the season was the best team. And you may be saying that they're the more physical team of all the 4 teams right now. But the JJ and the receivers and the inconsistency we've seen over the past few weeks, I just don't know if that is as good as we thought it was going to be this year. Washington, defensively, they look great for Oregon. But as we broke down the other day in our Oregon recap, Oregon is kind of a one-trick pony in kind of how they want to execute offensively. Washington had a great defensive game plan to slow that down. They ended up dominating all those quick bubbles, quick slants, get the ball to Bo Nix's hands. The defense has performed at times this year, but that's still a major vulnerability. Where you look at Texas offensively with the way Quinn especially plays in big games, with the receivers, with a veteran offensive line, with depth at the running back position. I know Jonathan Brooks is banged up, but the backups have done a great job since he's gone out. One of the best defensive front sevens in college football. Secondary will be a bit of a question, and I think that's going to be the big concern when you face Washington. Can that secondary hold up? But I think you're really good on both sides of the football. Alabama, great defense, by far the best defense in the playoff of the 4 teams. Elite. We saw that versus Georgia yesterday. Offensively, we'll see. Can Milroe take the next month and even get better heading into these playoffs? Going against Michigan in that defense, that's still a little bit of a concern. So if you want to look at most complete team, the team that has the less question marks to me heading into the playoffs right now, it's Texas. I love Texas football this year, and I think they're going to have a chance to really end up winning this entire thing when it's all said and done. So that's kind of my favorite of the 4. When we look at matchups between the 2 games, I'll do that real quick, and obviously continue to get into everyone's chats. Do appreciate everyone jumping in right now. Make sure you hit that like button. Go subscribe if you're not currently subscribed. Road to 10K is getting mighty close right now. Go Tiger says Michigan and Texas would be a good finale. I agree. I think that would be an awesome football game. 2 major brands, and I know it's no SEC, but you get Michigan and Texas in there. Woo, be pretty sexy. Henry Price. Bama bias is real. Hey, Nick Saban, baby. You ain't going to leave them out back-to-back seasons. Politicking real. I do love that after the game yesterday, both Kirby and Nick were on there making the same argument of it is the best team, not who deserves it the most. Which, to T-Bob's point, why do we play the game? Why do we play the games? If we're just going to take the teams that have the most stacked rosters, then just put those teams in every year. It obviously doesn't matter what you do for the 12 games you play, 13 games you play during the season. I'm not hating on Bama. Seth Barn, Bama haters are pouting today. Oh, I thought you were talking about me there. I don't think. I know T-Bob's a little salty because he was hoping that Georgia and Bama go down and LSU rides away with another Heisman Trophy winner, and they kind of come up big victors in the SEC after this weekend. There's no doubt in anyone's mind Alabama is one of the best teams. It was unfortunate the way things ended up this season. When you do have 3 undefeated Power 5 conference champion teams, and the team you lost to is another conference championship team at 12-1. It's just we don't have many years like this. And then you have the back-to-back defending champ who's also 12-1. Like, this was just an incredible year, a year that you kind of wish you did have a 12-team playoff, because there are so many good teams that there's 6 or 7 teams right now that could win a national championship if this was a 12-team playoff. So it just isn't that year. Rick Pan asks, Aaron, do you think the Dogs could beat any of the top 4 teams? I think Georgia could beat every single one of them. Every single one of them. I mean, they almost beat one of them yesterday. You can't tell me if Georgia faced or Alabama once again that wouldn't be a Vegas odd, somewhere within that 3 points. I think Georgia would be favored versus Michigan. I think Georgia would be favored versus Washington. I think Georgia would be favored versus Texas. They're one of the best teams in America. That might have been the national championship we saw yesterday in Atlanta. I don't think so, because I do think, once again, Michigan will handle business versus Alabama. Texas will handle business versus Washington, and we'll end up having a Texas versus Michigan national championship when it's all said and done. But it doesn't mean that Alabama and Georgia don't have what I would consider 2 of the best 3 or 4 rosters and football teams currently right now in college football. And one of them will not be in there, unfortunately, but they didn't win the game they needed to win. And I said this the entire end of the season. Georgia would be better off losing to Tennessee, Missouri, Ole Miss, maybe not Missouri, because Missouri at that point may have had the path to Atlanta, but to Tennessee or Ole Miss or even Georgia Tech, than to lose in Atlanta. The way things were shaping up across the country, you had to win your conference championship in order to get in. Georgia lost at the worst possible time based on how everyone else was playing this season and the way the conferences were shaping up to be. Noah says power rankings, it would be Bama, Georgia, Michigan, Texas. 100% agree. 100% agree. If we were purely doing power rankings for the college football playoff, I would have Michigan 1, Alabama 2, Georgia 3, and Texas 4. But the committee wants to do a mixture of power rankings and resume when putting their 4 together. Unfortunately, when it's all said and done. All right, let's look a little bit at these games. Quick preview of them, and obviously we'll be doing more deep dives as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. 1 versus 4, you're going to have Michigan versus Alabama. I'm guessing that game will be the Rose Bowl game. Washington, Texas will be at the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. Michigan, we just kind of talked about it. I would think is the favorite in this game, the more complete team. Can match Alabama physically, can run sideline to sideline with them when it comes to slowing down Jalen. And they have the advantage right now of having 4 weeks to figure out how do we slow down Milroe, who's had the most success against them. You kind of look at what Georgia did yesterday. They had 2 game plans. The first quarter, the first quarter and a half, they kind of the 2 spy game where they had 2 guys spying him. Well, the problem with that is, you stopped them from running, but you gave them 4 or 5 seconds to throw the football. And I don't care what you think about Alabama's receivers. You give any receiving core 4 or 5 seconds, they're going to get open. I think you look at Michigan and how stout they are up front. I think they're going to be able to find a way to contain him and be able to still rush forward, put pressure on him, and be able to cover in the back end good enough. So I like Michigan's defense when it comes to matching up against Alabama, what they have on the offensive side of the football. Flip it over to the other side. I like Alabama's defense matched up against Michigan's offense. I like what Alabama can do physically to be able to slow down Michigan in that running attack. I love Alabama's DBs when it comes to going against Michigan's receivers. So this is a game where JJ is going to have to play a not near perfect, but he's going to have one of those really good games, which we've seen him have, not as of late, but JJ's also been banged up a little bit lately towards the end of the season. Can JJ get the full health heading into that first round matchup? So I just think Michigan's slightly better, not much, just a little bit, but this is going to be a great football game. I think both teams want to get physical at the line of scrimmage. I think both teams are stout up front. These are probably the 2 of the best, if not the 2 best defenses in all of college football, and 2 offenses that the big question marks are at the receiving position. So which receiving core can make enough big explosive plays down the field against, like I said, these 2 elite defenses could end up being the difference in this ball game. Other big matchup, or the other matchup in this playoff, number 2 Washington versus number 3 Texas. Washington, the receivers, Michael Penix Jr. going against Texas's secondary. This is what we're going to be talking about for the next few weeks as we break this down. Can Texas's front 4 get enough pressure on Michael Penix where you don't give those talented receivers for Washington, like we just talked about with the other game with Alabama's receivers, which, obviously a major delta between what Alabama has at receiver and what Washington has. You can't give those guys 3 seconds to get open. Especially against what has been Texas's Achilles heel this year, has been their secondary. So Texas gonna have to find a way to get after Penix. That's the game right there. If you give him time, just like we saw versus Oregon, the explosive plays that this offense can create down the field, it's just going to be possibly a little bit too much. Flip it over to the other side. The difference between Texas and Oregon, Texas themselves can push the ball vertically down the field. Like, you're going to see 2 of the best receiving cores in America. Like, you can kind of put Washington, Texas, LSU, Ohio State. Like, those are the 4 of the best receiving cores in all of college football. We're going to see 2 of them on display in this game. We're going to see 2 of the best quarterbacks in the country on display in this game. So Washington, who has struggled this year at times defensively, are they good enough to match up versus Texas? And I would say no. I think Texas is good enough and multiple enough to be able to give Washington fits. They can run the football. They got a veteran offensive line. They can throw the ball with Ewers. Ewers plays extremely well in big games. And they got the receivers on the outside that can hit you up over the top. So this game is different than the first game. The first game, Michigan and Alabama, I think it's going to be a defensive struggle. I think it's going to be a low-scoring football game. 2 of the best defenses in the country. Flip over to this game. 2 of the best offenses in the country. 2 of the most explosive offenses in the country going against 2 defenses that have somewhat glaring holes in the secondary. Definitely going to be more of a shootout when it comes to Washington and Texas, and more of a old school Michigan, Alabama, beat you up at the line of scrimmage game between the Crimson Tide and the Wolverines, which, hey, I love both matchups. I think both teams are going to be incredible, and kind of get back to the point of, would we have gotten this if Florida State was in there? Would we be as excited about the first matchup as if Florida State was in there? If we're all going to be honest, probably not. Like, would Florida State versus Michigan have really revved your engines and got you all hot and bothered as if compared to Michigan versus Alabama? Hell no. Hell no. Like, Michigan, Alabama is going to be a badass football game. It's going to be almost identical to what we just watched yesterday with Alabama and Georgia. Two elite programs with a ton of talent, ton of physicality, healthy, just banging heads, getting after it. Michigan would have steamrolled Florida State. I say that. What happened last year with TCU, Michigan? TCU won. We all thought Michigan was going to win. TCU won. So we can say all we want. We'd be more excited about a Michigan-Alabama football game, but you still have to play the game. Florida State still deserved to get in. I don't care if it would have been worse ratings. I don't care if there'd be less people watching more YouTube channels or videos like ours heading up to the game. That doesn't matter. These kids for Florida State worked their ass off since January 1st for all offseason, all spring ball, all summer, all fall camp, the entire season, losing their quarterback, winning a rivalry game, winning your conference championship, dominating a pretty good Louisville offense, an offense that was scoring over 30 points per game. You held them to 6. You did everything, and you're going to take that opportunity away from those young men because you think this is a game that is dictated by just one position, the quarterback spot. And I know listen, I'm a quarterback. I understand that, like, this is the most important position out there, but it's a team football game. And this team is 13-0. This team won their conference, which is a Power 5 conference. So I don't care that it's not as sexy as a matchup. I don't care that you're not going to get the same kind of ratings. And I thought my dad actually brought this up the other day. Like, what was it? The NBA playoffs. Everyone was hoping that was it, LA would get in because of the ratings, and Denver ends up getting in there. I'm sure everyone was pissed off, but guess what? Denver was a better basketball team. Denver deserved it. They won the basketball games. Florida State won the football games. They won the games. They won the championship. So I don't know how much of that was actually in the committee talking about, oh, well, we need a good product because the past 2 years we didn't get that good product that we promised to deliver. Got to play the games. Got to reward those who deserve to get in there. All right, let's get back to the chat a little bit more. Appreciate everyone jumping in. Almost 500 strong right now. Only 66 thumbs up, though. So right now, appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up button. It takes 2 seconds. Hit it. Go subscribe so you can jump in the chat with us as we break down everything going on when it comes to the playoffs. Also, if you have any questions regarding these matchups, like I said, we'll be breaking down all these matchups. We got a lot of great guests, so kind of looking forward to this week. T-Bob, as you saw from the beginning of the video, is on his way to Disney, so he's going to take the week off. We're going to have JD Piquel from On3. He's going to be joining me tomorrow. Jake Butt and Adam Brenneman will be joining me on Tuesday to get some takes from the Big Ten. Obviously, some talking about Michigan from those two. Jake Butt, legendary All-American tight end at Michigan, Adam Brenneman, former tight end at Penn State. So we'll talk to those guys on Tuesday, and I'll keep you updated for what we're going to be doing on Wednesday and Thursday, just so you guys can plan your weeks out. 1 o'clock Eastern. We'll be live every day, Monday through Thursday this week. So appreciate everyone jumping in and hanging out with us, talking some college football. All right, let's get to the chats a little bit more. Seth Martin, college football, exclamation. You got to love it. I tell you what, you don't get this kind of juice in the NFL. You don't get this kind of juice in the NFL. No way in hell do you get this excitement, and just think college football is only going to get better and better going forward. So I absolutely love the direction of where we're going. Holly Gold, I wish FSU would sue those committee clowns. Ultimate Texas Bama rematch. Go back to that comment real quick. Ultimate Texas Bama rematch. Sark won't beat Nick twice in the season. It won't happen. It's always tough to be a team twice in a season. There's no doubt about it. And the argument that has been made has been, oh, Alabama has gone so much better since that game. Well, Jalen Milroe has definitely gotten better since that game. No doubt about it. But guess what? There's a lot of teams that have gone better since week 1 or week 2, whenever that matchup was, week 2. Like, I hate that argument that like Alabama is the only team in America that has somehow gone better throughout the season. Let's not forget, Alabama needed a 31-yard touchdown on a 4th and 31 to beat Auburn. Alabama beat Arkansas by 3. So, like, have they really like gotten that much better? Like, they've always been an elite team. Like we've talked about, like this roster has more talent than anyone else in the country. If you want to just go based on rankings from high school, they have more 4- and 5-star guys than anyone else in the country. You had one position that had to get better, and Jalen's gotten better, and he's taking care of the football. Like, yeah, you have gotten better. I'm not saying you haven't, but 90% of the rest of college football has also gotten better throughout the season. Like, you get better week to week. Everyone does. The teams that get worse are, injuries happen, and that's where you bring in the Florida State conversation. But once again, I'm not going to keep going down that tangent. Florida State still deserved it, even without their quarterback. 13-0 Power 5 champion deserves to get in. Rick Patton, Texas can beat Bama. No doubt they can. They've already beat them. And I do think that there's also a confidence in that too. Like, hey, guys, we went into their stadium. We went into Tuscaloosa, a tough environment, and beat them by double digits. And we did it by running the football for the last 8 minutes of the game and just ran it down their throat. So, like, I don't think Texas goes into the game scared of Bama or saying, oh, my God, it's Bama. We can't beat them again. Oh, my God, Bama's gotten so much better since week 2. I think Texas says, bring it. We got plenty of talent. Like, we welcome the challenge. Be a hell of a football game. It'd be a hell of a football game. Be a lot of fun. I'll take any 4 of these games matched up against any of them, and I can make a case for all of them to win. I think if you had to rank the strength of the 4 teams, obviously you'd go 1 Michigan, 2 Texas, 3 Bama, 4 Washington. Like, Washington is kind of the one everyone's probably going to be doubting that could end up winning this entire thing. But Washington continues to prove us wrong this whole season. Like, how many times have I myself doubted Washington this year, and they just keep on winning and winning and winning? So, like, I think they like it, man. They're the big underdog, and they got that chip on their shoulder. So we'll see if Washington can get it done, obviously versus Texas and then versus Alabama or Michigan when it's all said and done. What else we got in the chat? What else we got in chat? Georgia's still one of the best 4 over Texas. Maybe. Texas, I said I like Texas. Texas is a good football team, man. Texas is a really good football team. AM Fitness. If Florida State scored 3.5 points against Louisville, a team that a week ago Kentucky beat like a rented mule. It's funny. I'm watching that game last night. Both games. I had both the games on. And I believe I'm correct. Florida State was 3-0 at halftime. Michigan was 10-0 at halftime. Kind of watching it like, we're all bitching about Florida State, but Michigan's only up 10-0. Like, it ain't like Michigan's blowing out Iowa's doors. Both teams are 10-2. So, like, why are we making such a big case that Florida State on their 3rd string quarterback is only up 3-0? Yet we ain't bitching about Michigan being up 10-0 against Iowa. So, get at me with that comment. Danny, Aaron, there's no way you're not depressed that Georgia's not in. I'm upset. No doubt. I mean, there's a damn Georgia helmet behind me. Of course I would like my dogs in. Like, what? Like, I have to be, as unbiased as I can on these shows. But, like, I'm a Georgia football player, dude. Hell yeah. Would I love to go to the Sugar Bowl, take my wife to New Orleans, have some fun, go out on the town? Watch the dogs in the first round and hope they make it to the national championship and go to Dallas afterwards. Hell yeah. I would have loved that. So am I, sad the dogs didn't make it? 100%. 100%, but they didn't deserve it. Like I said earlier, they lost the game they couldn't lose. They could have afforded, just like Bama, to lose a game early on, but you can't lose in the conference championship. Not this season. Not this year. Maybe in years past, but not this year when you have 3 undefeated conference champions. Just was not going to work out for the Dogs, losing yesterday in Atlanta. TCU didn't drop when they lost their conference title, but UJ dropped five spots. Come on, man. Once again, it's a different year. It's a different year. There's just too many undefeated teams that did win their conference championship. I mean, you have three of them. Washington, Michigan, Florida State. And then, Alabama beat you. So same record, Alabama's going to go in ahead of you. So that puts you at 5. And then Texas is 12-1 and beat the team that you lost to. This was the wrong year to do it if you're a Georgia. The wrong year to do it. We all know they're a top 4 team. But Alan Crew, T-Bob, okay, where is he? T-Bob is good. T-Bob is on his way to his favorite place in the world. He is on his way to Disney World. So he'll be there all week. We'll be having different guests, hitting up different conferences through the week, getting a lot of opinions as we start to break down these conference championship games. T-Bob suffers from PTSD. Laugh out loud. Hey, listen, LSU is going to get a Heisman Trophy winner. LSU's going to have a Heisman Trophy winner most likely next week. So you can't be complaining too much because, at least you're bringing home some kind of trophy. Shadowbeard, Aaron isn't upset because he uses his brain. He knew Georgia was in if they won. Yeah. Got to be objective. He ain't good. Dude just rage tweeting from Ashley Megan. I'm not rage tweeting. I'm not. That's a lie. That is a lie. All right. Well, I'm gonna bounce out of here. We appreciate everyone jumping on. Once again, we got a lot of great guests coming on this week. 1:00 Eastern. Tomorrow, JD McHale from On3 will be joining us 1:00 Eastern. Tuesday, we'll get some Big Ten reaction from Jake Butt and Adam Bredeman. Wednesday and Thursday, we'll be bringing on some great guests as well. So make sure you get tuned in for that. We'll be your number one spot as we get ready for college football playoffs here in about a month. Obviously, we'll be breaking down a lot of these bowl games as well, giving you our thoughts and opinions as we get closer and closer. Don't forget, smash that thumbs up button. Go subscribe. The road to 5K, we are at 9.64. Got to get it before the national championship. So we have 4 weeks to get there. Go share. Appreciate the love. And we will see you all tomorrow, 1:00 Eastern.